welcome to another episode of the Chaos Chronicles.
Navigating the randomness.
I'm Jess.
I'm Connie.
And today we are going to be going over chapter 5 of Twilight. So if you have not read it and you want to read it, you should probably do that.
Yes. And before we get too deep into it, you can find us at Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram.
Kind of
Instagram. And the handle for all of those is at Chaos Chronicles Podcast. And that's Chronicles with an S. Please remember to like and subscribe.
Yes, it really does help us out quite a bit. Well, are you ready to jump on into chapter 5?
Yes. Oh, and in this episode, just like last week, we still have little pups visiting us. So if you see our hands doing weird things off edge of the camera, we're just trying to corral little dogs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Connie has a little dog next to her. I have a little dog that's passed out next to me. So.
And we got a big dog.
And Zeus is here too. Ruby is not here this week, but that's okay. We have plenty of dogs right now.
We have plenty of dogs.
And she's currently out running with my husband, so she's having a good time. Oh, good. I wish you were on camera.
I know. Well, mom and sisters, when you watch this, Gizmo just curled up against Zeus. It's really cute.
It's really, really cute. So chapter 5 is blood type. The chapter starts with Bella going to English class and is slightly taken aback by Mike not sitting in his usual seat beside her. But as he and Eric met her at the door, things seemed pretty usual, and she figured that she wasn't as unforgiven as she was initially thinking that she was, since she turned both of them down. Mike seemed more like his normal self and was excited to talk about the weather. When Bella got to the cafeteria, she was looking all around to see Edward's face and see if he was back to being the cold, indifferent person he had been for the past few weeks. While searching for him, she heard Jessica talking about the dance and that Lauren, Tyler, Angela, and Eric will all be going together. So it must have all worked out, and no one knew Bella's involvement in any of it.
Perfect.
It's the best way to meddle.
Honestly, yeah.
If no one knows, all the better. And it works out.
If it works out and someone knows you're involved, okay, not too bad. If it doesn't work out, you better pray they don't know you're involved.
Yes. Jessica points out that Edward is staring at Bella again and that he's sitting alone today. When Bella meets his gaze, Edward winks at her and motions for her to join him. And Jessica is in disbelief. What is your face?
So, sorry, wait, this was in the cafeteria or where was this?
Cafeteria.
Okay, so I'm just envisioning, she looks across the cafeteria, he's sitting there and he goes, wink, ee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Bipolar Edward.
Okay. Winking is something weird for me, though.
I've never... It's always a weird thing.
Yeah.
Probably because the only time I've ever really been winked at, aside from, my husband making jokes about it, has always been old guys when I was working as a paramedic.
Yep, I think that's what I'm circling back to.
It's kind of creepy.
It is.
I know it's not intended to be, but it's like...
No, there's very few times where a wink doesn't creep me out. When there's like an obvious like inside joke or, like nudging to a kid where it's like, oh yeah, nope, Santa's coming. Good job. Or like something like that. But yeah, most of the time, if a guy is winking at a girl, especially in this situation, it reminds me so much of customer service days at the water park we worked at and when I was working as bartender server. I don't think I really need to explain that one.
No, I do now that as you were talking, I was kind of thinking back and remembering that was a thing in middle school and high school.
Winking at each other?
That was, well, at least in my schools, like that was like the first way that guys would get your attention is that they would wink at you.
I do remember.
Okay, so it wasn't just me.
No, one guy, I don't want to say his name, but
Yeah.
like I believe he was either Greek, Italian, or Hispanic, which like I know it seems like you should be able to figure out which one of the three it is, but his name, well, his nickname was Tony, and like that could be,
Everyone's name is Tony,
yeah,
and it fits for every single one of
it's for
them.
every single one. And dark hair, olive skin, dark eyes. I'm like, doesn't help. Anyway, so I don't know like if that was like a culture thing, because I mean, like he's American as you and I were, but I do remember him winking at a couple of girls. Not me, my friends. But I just remember being like, did he just like vividly remember us walking down the hallway in 8th grade and he did that? And it was to my friend Allie, which I can say that because there's 1,000,001 Allies in Minnesota.
Yes.
And I just remember being like, did you just do, hang on, did my
Back
eye
up.
twitch? What did I just see? Yeah.
I just remembered. Just went way back. All of a sudden, it got a deep rooted memory. My first ever boyfriend in high school.
Got
Um, which red flags beyond red flags. What was wrong with me? But
high
not what
school.
we're talking about right now. Um, the first time we met, it was at like a party at our kind of mutual friend's house, and he was there, and I had never met him before. I'm like, you're not with the normal ski group that I hang out with. You're just one of the ski group people's friends. And he literally just winked at me from across the room, and I was like, oh. And my friend's like, you should go talk to him. And I'm like, maybe I will. I probably shouldn't have, but it's fine.
I mean, lessons were learned in that relationship, and that's okay.
Yeah, but yeah, so I have been winked at in
Yeah.
non-creepy ways, I guess.
Yeah, I think, and the creepiness has just been,
With age.
yeah. Well, no, actually, I remember being younger. We'll get back to Twilight in a second. Word from our sponsors. Sponsor is generational trauma, or just trauma being a woman growing up.
That should be every sponsor for every
Every
episode.
sponsor. Oh, no, I do remember a couple of times being around middle-aged to older men when I was like 12, 13, 14, because at the time, my dad's retired now, so I can say this. He was campaigning for public office, and spoiler, he won, which was awesome. But my sisters and I were involved in a lot of campaign stuff, including, public events, parades, and such. I do remember getting some creepy winks from people being like, wow, you've grown up so nice. Aren't you pretty? Well, your
No.
dad's gonna have to beat the boys off with the stick. And I'd be like, and it was really uncomfortable because one of the times I'm thinking of, it was when we were in a parade. So I'm, tiny little, maybe 100-pound, 12-year-old me. And I'm wearing shorts. But like I started having, I had curves by that point. But like I just remember it was a look up and down. Oh, she's gonna be a pretty one, aren't you? You got any boyfriends yet? And then another wink, and I just remember being so uncomfortable. Like,
Yeah, a lot of
are you
times
kidding?
they are in weird contexts like that. That's just ugh.
I think that's what I'm circling back to. So like I'm not seeing whatchamacallit. Oh my god, the name of the actor who plays
Robert Pattinson.
Thank you. I'm not seeing Robert Pattinson in that scene. I'm seeing the creepy older man. So that's who I'm seeing wicking at the 17-year-old. That's why I was going like,
Gotcha.
ugh.
I know. I'm trying to like change my mind because I also thought when I was writing this, but now I'm like, okay, take a step back. If I was a 17-year-old girl and my crush, I'm just assuming crush, she's basically obsessed with the guy. If the guy that I was obsessed with, not this, I've never been this obsessed about a guy. If the guy that I was obsessed with winked at me, I would probably be ecstatic.
Okay, yeah. That part I get. Again, I just went right into the creepy.
I know. Initially, it's like the first time you say it, you're like, "Ew, wait. Take a step back.
Yeah,
Context.
I'm sure if you're seeing it, it's cute. But just like hearing it, I would be like, even if like one of my girlfriends came up to me and was like, oh my God, I have such a crush on dude, and he winked at me, and I'd be like, oh, yay.
Good, bad.
I'd be like, are we happy about that? Oh, we're happy. Oh, then we're happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Winking's a little weird.
Didn't know I had that issue until today. The more you know.
We're just unraveling all the deep stuff, apparently.
Deep-seated issues to the deep state. Woo.
All right, so Edward winks at Bella and like motions for her to come over. Jessica's in disbelief, and Bella heads over there telling her group that he probably just needs help with his bio homework, which she's like a perfect bio student, so no, but okay. Yeah.
Well, their joke, not joke, but at the time, if I recall correct, Bella's whole thing is she's also beyond annoyed at moving to Fork. She's annoyed because the curriculum that she's going over, she's already done before.
Yeah.
So she's like, I guess we'll do this. So she has the answers already.
Yeah, she already knows everything. So Bella wasn't sure if this was real or not as she made her way to where Edward was. He says that he decided that as long as I was going to hell, he may as well do it thoroughly.
Yeah, he said, as long as I'm going to hell, I might as well do it thoroughly.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Thank you for making that make more sense.
No, that's a theme. Edward has a theme.
Up. Stop.
That's the theme of the podcast.
That's the theme of this whole Twilight series. Edward, what the heck is wrong with you? Can you stop? Be a normal person? Well, you're not even a human, so like I can't fault. Well, I can fault you. Okay, you're a dick.
Yeah, no, don't fault him. Immortality is not an excuse to be a jerk.
Just because you have cravings.
No kidding. Yeah, if we can control our pregnancy cravings are hard to control from what I hear. If we can control our time of the month cravings, you can handle it. Yeah. Because like
it may not be fun, but get over it.
I'm kidding. If we don't go on crazy rampages when we want to, you don't get to do it either. Yeah. And believe me, there are days that we want to. And I'm not even going to put the hypothetical on there because I mean it.
Yeah. So he says that he meant it when he said that he was tired of staying away from Bella. So he just gave up. When asked if this means that they're friends now, Edward decided to warn her again, saying that he isn't a good friend for her and that if she's smart, she'll avoid him. Can you stop? Okay, also going back to high school me, this would be like, okay, like music to my ears, like I'm all in.
Yeah. I can't judge because I think I would have done the same. No, I know I would have done the same.
I 100% would have done the same.
Oh, son of a biscuit. I did do the same. I did date one guy, the one who was 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that was a two-parter though. One, he was like, oh no, I'm older. What are they going to think? And I'm like, doesn't matter. The other part was I was trying to get away from the MMA guy who decided after one hangout that I belonged to him, and that was creepy as hell.
Yeah. Just because you date someone does not mean that you own them. You don't own them. They're their own person, okay?
Literally, I didn't even date either. Like, I literally just like hung out with him once. And then he went nuts.
Some people.
Anyway, so yeah, I guess that I can't fault Bella. That works.
Yeah, that.
Don't use that for malicious purposes. Anyone watching,
do not do that. That's just, high school me, high school her. That is 100% what we're like. Oh, you're bad for me. Okay, cool. Let's go. Like,
which I guess I can thank my mother for those days.
Mistakes were made.
Oh, it's okay as long as you don't die. It's all good. As long as no one dies. Unless they deserve it.
All right, circling back. Yeah. Anywho, Bella says she's trying to figure out what he is, but won't tell him as it's too embarrassing. Edward says that that's frustrating that she won't tell him, and Bella gets furious because she doesn't like the double standards. Hey, you ain't gonna tell her, she ain't gonna tell you.
I do remember being mad about that too, reading it, where he's like, well, that's not fair, that's frustrating. And I was like, boy!
What are you doing to her? What do you think you're doing to her?
And I didn't know what Edward was when I first read this book, because it was before
Oh.
movies. It was before it was a massive
Yeah.
thing.
It's like just a well-known thing nowadays. You're like, who's Edward Cullen? Oh, he's a vampire.
Mhm.
So sorry, spoilers if you're reading with us for the first time. I mean, those spoilers are everywhere, but sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Those are like the only spoilers you're going to get from me because I don't know anything.
I know a lot.
Yeah. So she's the only one that could do spoilers but won't do spoilers because I'm working on it.
No, not doing no spoilers for viewers' sake. I'm doing this for your sake.
Yes.
I really just want your reactions. Because I'm like, oh, there are so many scenes I already know right now. You're going to read it and be like, what the? No.
Is my book going to get chucked across the room, Connie?
I think on a couple of them you will, just because you'll be so frustrated at Bella and Edward.
All right, let's go. Well, it's a good thing I have a paperback.
Yeah.
Lovely Twilight book. Edward mentions again that he is good at reading everyone but her, and it's puzzling him. Good. Be frustrated. How does it feel?
Yeah.
Bella asks Edward if he could give her a warning next time he decides to ignore her for her sake, and he agrees and asks her to tell him a theory in return. Bella is refusing, and then Edward says, please. He breathes and leans towards her. We're just gonna... Uh-huh.
That's given the whole, like, what is the song? Hey, little mama, let me whisper in your ear. Like, that's what I'm getting from that. Which, by the way, there is no reason for you to put your hand on the small of a woman's back when you're talking to her.
Yes.
No.
Well, no, but I meant to agree with you.
No, and I agree with you by saying no. Wait, hold on.
We were agreeing with each other, okay? Okay.
Yes. I've had it happen, and very few times have I been okay with it. And it's usually, I've only been okay with it being my husband.
Yeah. Or, I mean, my brothers, but that's different. It's not in a sexual way. It's literally just a, hey, move, or a...
Oh, I'm not thinking of the hey move. Like, the move is one thing, having your hand. But I've had it where I've been talking to someone and they just casually, like, put their hand against the small of my back and, like, bring me closer to talk to them. And I'm like,
no. That's...
Wow, I am just projecting all of my past, like, icks and trauma things onto Edward in this chapter.
That's okay. We don't like Edward here. I don't like Edward here. I guess she does for some reason, but...
It's not even that I like him. It's as much as, does everyone have that cousin where they make poor decisions, but, like, you remember they were good as a kid, and so you're like, okay, they might not be doing drugs, but maybe they're just, like, a dumbass, and they're always on social media posting about how they're going to get money for everyone through crypto, and, like, one of those types.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, you don't have malice towards them. You're like, I mean, you were cool as a kid. You could do backflips and shoot milk out your nose. Like, cool. And that's just kind of where you sit. That's kind of where I'm sitting with Edward, where I'm like, I remember you being cool when I was younger, and now
you're not.
Now I'm looking
You're
back.
kind of a dick.
Yeah, now I'm like, you do seem like the crypto, like, hey, I got an investment opportunity for you. How would you like to be your own boss? Like, that type of dude.
Just a huge manipulator.
How would you like to be your own boss? Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. If you get one of those messages, it's a manipulation.
Ignore. Yeah. So Edward does the saying please as he breathes and leans toward her. She blinks and her mind goes blank, and she wonders, how does he do that? Then she says that he was bitten by a radioactive spider. That's her theory.
I mean, it's a good theory. We weren't that far out from Sam Ramick. Son of a biscuit and a half.
The actor that played the oh
No,
no.
that's Balak. Oh, wow. I'm not doing well.
I can't do
The
names. So.
director of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans from the early 2000s. You didn't see those?
I wasn't allowed to watch them for some reason.
Really?
So I just never watched them.
I would have thought that your brothers would have brought those in.
They weren't allowed to watch them. Like, none of us were allowed to watch them growing up. And then by the time they got old enough, why wasn't I allowed to watch a lot of things? Why wasn't I allowed to do a lot of things? I don't know.
Good point. I forgot who your parents were for a second. Sorry.
Yeah. So I can't help you.
Good point. Yeah, no, they weren't bad. But yeah, no, that was big. Like, that was a big superhero revival. Like, a lot of Marvel comes after the success of I wish I could say his name. Rami Malek is the actor who's actually in Eclipse and Breaking Dawn, or just Breaking Dawn. He might just be in Breaking Dawn. But yes, but no, they huge major, and it's actually a pivotal reason why we have the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe that we do today.
The more you know.
The more you know. Although apparently Tobey Maguire is a jerk. There's a couple of stories about him from like verified sources of him having like a gambling problem and just being mean, which is a bummer because I loved him as Spider-Man.
There are some of those actors that you find out that are jerks in real life, and you're like, I loved you. And now it's like,
I know. That's how different. I'm kind of feeling about Anna Kendrick, because she plays Jessica in the movies. And like for a while there, she was like the quirky fun. And now a bunch of stuff has come out over the last couple of years of her being uppity. But also, I don't want to believe all of that because I'm like, you
have to take everything with a grain of salt.
Take it with a grain of salt. And it's also like, okay, what is being considered uppity? Because I've had people tell me that they're like, I honestly thought you were a huge bitch. And I'm like, nope. Just my face. And also I was just being quiet that day, or I wasn't engaged because I had cramps, a headache, or I just tired, wasn't feeling it. And so I'm always a little wary, especially the stories about women where I'm like, was she actually mean, or are you just projecting?
Yeah, because I also got that quite a few times with students that I had. They were very intimidated by me, and I'm like, why? I ask you the moment you get in there, like, where are you at? What do you want to work on? What can I help you with? Like, do you need help with a certain thing? What are you working on? Like, how can I help you? This is for you. Not for me. This ain't helping me any. If anything, it adds stress because I have to watch you like a hawk and make sure that you're not doing something stupid.
Yep. Oh, no. I know.
Yeah.
People at the water park were intimidated by me.
I made someone at the water park cry. Do you remember that?
Wait, was that vaguely?
I don't remember who it was, but I went over there to have a conversation about them because they did something, and I was just being like, hey, just so you know, next time, do it this way. Don't do this.
I do know, because they had they failed a couple of their skills tests with your morning. I do remember you and I talking about that afterwards, because that was a friend of someone in the guest service department. That's how I heard about it. Because I didn't have a chance to talk to you until later. And I'm like, hey, I'm hearing this through the grapevine. What happened?
Yeah, I was like, I wasn't mean about it. No. I didn't go in guns a-blazing. I was just like, hey, by the way. But apparently when actually my husband's called me out. He's like, the way that you go about things sometimes are very like, this is serious. This is really serious. And it's really not. Like, I probably had a little bit too stern of a voice or something, or like my face was just full like serious mode, and just
you and I both have RBF.
Yeah. But
resting brat face. That's the PC version of that.
Yeah. So Edward was bitten by a radioactive spider. No. Edward tries to make a joke by asking, what if he's the villain and not the superhero? She concluded that he was dangerous but not bad, and now she was no longer afraid of him. probably wrong answer is what I'm going with.
I just have to laugh because I remember people taking that section of maybe I'm not the superhero, I'm the villain, and that being like captured on their pictures when we use Picnic for
Now I
editing.
know that's where it came from. I remember that.
Oh yeah, like every wannabe edgy person was putting it, and usually I remember seeing it on social media, what little social media we had back then.
Not like what we have now.
Not like what we have now, but it was always the heavily saturated black and white picture with the fedora or with the eyeliner or with the angle up here, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh. As soon as he said it, I'm like, oh, the cringe. I remember it. But I remember thinking, oh, that's a great line. What if they are the villain, not the superhero? Now, adult me's like, if someone says that to me, I'll be like, ooh,
Okay, bye.
bye. I'm going to keep my eyes on you and back to the wall. To like, you go that way, out the door where I can see you.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Edward decides to skip biology class as he says it is sometimes healthier to ditch. That day, their lab involved them pricking their fingers, which Mike was the class demo, and they were putting their we're trigger warning for those of you that don't like blood. Talking about blood. You will not see blood. We're just talking about blood.
Yeah. No demonstrations.
No demonstrations will happen. Just figured we needed that little trigger warning in there. So they were putting their blood onto cards so they could figure out what their blood type was. And so the teacher was also telling everyone that there will be a blood drive next week, so he thought that they should all know their blood types before then. Bella asked the teacher if she could skip since she already knew her blood type, and she was feeling faint. Of course, here comes Mike, the hero. He volunteers to bring her to the nurse. And on the way to the nurse, Bella and Mike sat down because Bella just needed to sit down, and she put her face on the ground. She told Mike to keep his hand in his pocket no matter what.
He had already pricked his finger by that point, and
Yeah.
Bella really doesn't like blood.
Yeah. Little dramatic, but yeah.
I remember her talking about like she could smell it.
Yeah, she does say that. Yeah.
Which granted, maybe you've been desensitized to it, but I have been around areas where when there is a lot of blood, like there is a rust smell. So I get it.
Oh, there is. It's a distinct smell. I've had literally pools of it under my feet. It's got a smell to it.
Yeah.
For sure.
The sad thing is you were not kidding. That was the correct use of literal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not, stretched out. That was ooh. Paramedic. They should be paid more.
They should be. And it should be a 4-year program. But that is not what we're talking about right now.
Exactly.
Oh, that could be a whole episode in itself.
It should.
So let's see where
she's got her face on the ground to try to cool down, which you got to be feeling real sick if you put in your bare face on a dirty high school ground. No hate on the janitors, but we got outside shoes, we got people, we got spitting, sneezing, coughing, gum.
It almost sounded like they were outside at this time too. So because she put her ground on the pavement. So I think they went outside.
An outside school building. Okay, that I can vibe with a little better, which is weird because I just critiqued outside shoes bringing dirt in. But like, you sick if your head is on a public ground.
Yeah. Yeah. So Edward all of a sudden comes out of nowhere, because of course he does. And he asks what's wrong with her. Mike thinks that she fainted, but she didn't even prick her finger. Edward asks if Bella can hear him. She replies, "No, go away." And Edward starts chuckling.
I mean, that would be my response too.
Yeah. Same. Edward decided that he would take over for Mike. Mike tried to protest, but Edward scooped her up and seemed amused that the sight of blood made her faint, and it didn't even have to be her blood.
It is pretty funny.
Of all the people, I've seen a lot of people that don't do well with blood. never to this extent.
Really?
Well, it's just like a little prick, like, of
Yeah.
your finger. Like, if I pricked my finger and you're over here like, oh, I'm gonna faint.
No.
I've never seen anybody that.
Not a finger prick. IVs. Or like gushing. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's different. That's not like
That's
this
true.
little minor level. Like,
I mean, some people are bad. I think I would have an issue with a lot of blood.
well, a lot of people have an issue with a lot of blood. When you see a lot of blood, it's dramatic. You don't know how you're going to react until you see it.
That is true. I'm just defaulting to if or when I ever witness a major medical situation, I really hope you're with me. Not either of us having the episode, or anyone we know or love. If it could be a
Just stumbling
stranger,
upon a stranger
just
having,
stumbling, yeah. I'm like, okay, you tell me what you need, and if you take charge, I can help. But on my own,
tourniquets.
yeah, I'd be like, all right, tourniquet, you need an O-ring for an oxygen tank. That's the only thing I remember from my oxygen certification at the water park. Oh, that and that you are not supposed to rip out nipple rings to do the AED or whatever.
Whoever, yeah. We're not going to get into that. We're just going to keep going. Anywho, that will get off into a tangent. So they make it to the nurse's office, and Edward stays with her. When they're out of earshot from the nurse, Bella says that Edward was right. Ditching is sometimes healthier. Edward tells Bella that when he saw them, he thought that Mike was dragging her dead body and that he had seen a corpse with more color than her.
That's very funny with him being a vampire.
That is very funny.
Okay, this is a slightly redeeming interaction for Edward.
I still hate him, but like it's fine.
Oh my god.
So all of a sudden Mike enters the nurse's office with another student who was also pale and woozy from biology class. Edward tells Bella to leave the office and is surprised that she listens. She asks why he told her to leave, and he said that he smelt blood.
Oh, other way around. He asked, why did you leave? And she said, oh, I smelled blood.
Are we breaking out we're breaking it out, guys.
We're
breaking out the book.
I swear it was like he was so surprised by her willingly like following what he said.
Nope.
Am I misremembering?
Mm-hmm. It finally happened, guys.
Oh no.
Yeah, because then she says, page 82, because she says people can't smell blood. Oh, there we go. Which, untrue. People can smell blood.
83, 82. We've got another one showing. I've done to family cop for the next event. And I can run here. I don't even know.
Speed read.
Oh, yeah. No, here it is. So she
just said
Edward muttered, go out of the office, Bella. I looked at him bewildered. Trust me, go, Edward said. I spun and caught the door before it closed. Darting out of the infirmary, I could feel Edward right behind me. You actually listened to me. He was stunned. Bella said, I smelled the blood.
No!
I said, wrinkling my nose, Lee wasn't sick from watching other people like me. Edward said, people can't smell blood. Bella says, well, I can. That's what makes me sick. It smells like rust and salt.
Oh, damn.
Sorry.
I will say, that isn't the first time that her verbiage has tripped me up.
Yeah. No, it's
some of her choices are so hard to follow.
They are. One of the key mother, if you're watching this and I get this wrong, please don't disown me. My mother has basically been an editor her whole life, so we have been raised on strict grammar rules. One of the ways to catch it is when you have a different paragraph, it's a different person talking than the one before.
I understand that part. But like
it does sometimes take another second to read it through, especially if you're reading quick.
Did I read it wrong? No, did I read like my notes wrong? Hang on.
The only reason I remember this so well is
I read my notes wrong.
Oh.
That started the whole thing. I read my notes wrong. gosh, dang it.
It's not like literally the only reason I remember it is I felt so validated in that moment because I had told my parents before when I had gotten my foot sliced by the glass in the lake and it sliced under my big toe and that was a lot of blood. That was really bad. And I was really little when it happened. I think like kindergarten or first grade. But I remember the smell of blood. And my parents are like, you can't smell blood. And I'm like, yes, you can. And so then
You can definitely smell blood.
yeah, and so when I read that section, I was reading it at the cabin, which is also where the toe cut thing had happened years prior. I remember getting up and going to my mom and being like, right here. People smell blood. And she's like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Why are you coming to me? And I'm like, because I have a need to be right. Thank you.
Yes, you can definitely smell blood, especially if there's enough of it.
There was from my toe. That was a bad one. That was second only to when my cousin Jody. Hi, Jody.
Hi, Jody.
Hi, and Colin. When she and I were playing mermaids in the lake and, jumping, diving, and she was by the dock and she jumped into the tire that was supporting the dock, cut her head. Oh, I heard it underwater. And when I came up, she came out of the water just blood gushing because head wounds gush.
They're gushers. You have a lot of vasculature in your face, so a lot of face trauma will look a lot worse than what it actually is. It's the big show area.
Yeah, I know. It was a big show, and we were young at the time because we were playing mermaids. And in our defense, you jump like mermaids in the water, but it's really hard because you have to come up and you have to wipe your eyes real quick and then jump. And so sometimes you just keep jumping. Yeah. Until you hit the metal rim of a tire on a dock. Yeah,
I've cut my forehead open too.
Oh, yeah. They're bleeders.
They are bleeders.
Ooh, the more you know.
Yeah. All right. So she smelt blood. I apparently can't read my notes.
Girl, no judgment.
Also,
you saw me in the Joan episode. You're good.
I think my mistake was I said he in the beginning when it should have been she, and the rest of the sentence is she.
Oh, gotcha.
So just me being stupid and not rereading my notes.
Yeah, it's hard. You're talking, you're remembering, you got notes here, you got cameras, we got lights.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on that y'all don't see on camera.
Yes. So Mike interrupts, saying that she looks a lot better and asks if she was going to the beach with their group that weekend. She said that she would, and he leaves saying that he will see her in gym class. At that time, it sinks in that she has to go to gym. Edward tells her to go and look pale. She says and that he's on it. Edward easily gets the nurse to excuse Bella from class and says that he will be taking her home. Bella asks Edward if he is going to the beach that weekend. Edward thinks it's best if they try not to push Mike too much more for the week. Bella stops and is taken aback when him using the words you and I.
When did he say you and I?
That you and I shouldn't try to push Mike too much.
Oh, I'm sorry. I heard we. You may have said you and I. My brain just didn't compute.
Oh, no, I said Edward thinks that it's best that they try to not push Mike too much more that week. But in the book, he used you and I.
Gotcha.
And Bella stops and is taken aback by him using the words you and I and says that she likes it more than she should.
I can understand that.
Yeah. We all like a bad boy in high school. Okay, yeah.
And when the bad boy's sweet to you, yeah.
He was mostly a dick, but okay.
Yeah, but now he's being sweet. God, women, we have some issues. Men have issues.
We all have issues. It's just that we have more of a way of not acknowledging. We'll see it happen, and we're like, yeah, that doesn't matter anymore. Yeah. So Bella starts to go to her car, and Edward pulls her back, saying that he promised to safely drive her home. Bella objects and says that she is perfectly capable of driving herself. She is staring at her truck, calculating if she would be able to get to it before Edward reached her. And Edward chimes in that he would just drag her back to his car. Bella is annoyed, but finally gets into his car.
Which, like, sweet, but also...
Leave her alone.
See, my brain goes back to... I don't get into strangers' cars. Like, even folks I don't know that well, I don't let them into my car. I don't go in theirs. Even coworkers, like, it takes me a little while before I'm in their cars.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a whole thing to me where I'm just imagining you are willingly going into dude's car when he is giving you a host of conflicting emotions and conflicting personalities. Like,
Yep.
don't like. Also, the annoyance of how are you going to get your car?
Yeah, well, we get to it. We get to her car.
I think I forgot about that part.
Yeah. So Bella makes note of the classical music that Edward has on quietly, and Edward is surprised that she knows it. And Bella said that her mother played a lot of classical music, and this song was one of her favorites.
I think it's like Claire de Lune in the movie, which is one of the most popular classical pieces of Debussy.
I want to say that's what it was. As I was going through this, I think when we were skimming to just for me not saying things correctly, I think I saw that in there.
Yeah. That's like saying, have you heard of the obscure artist Lady Gaga?
Yeah. Everyone knows that one.
Okay.
All right. So Edward asks about her mother, and Bella responds by saying that she looks just like her, but prettier because she has too much of Charlie in her, and that her mom is braver and more outgoing, but she is also irresponsible and unpredictable, and an unpredictable cook, and was her best friend. And talking about her made her depressed. Okay, but her saying that she had too much of her dad in her.
Don't shit on Charlie. He doesn't deserve that.
The only green flag in this whole book.
I know. Also, like, yes, the dude who's playing Charlie, whose name I can't remember, the actor, but like, yeah, he looks a little unkempt. Unkept?
Unkept.
What's kempt? K-E-M-T. Google later. He does look a little unkept. However, it's like there's a strong jawline. There is cheekbones. He got nice mustache. He got good brows and lashes, good hair. Just maybe use a little work and a little bit of a suntan, but it's Forks. So Forks, Washington.
Everyone there needs a slight suntan.
Yeah, he looks pretty darn good. Okay. Don't shoot on him. Also, we talked about this, and I think it was chapter 1 and 2. Mom should not be your best friend when you're growing up.
Nope, they're a mom until you're out of the house, and then you guys can be friends.
Yep.
If you want to be friends.
Yes. Yeah, that just... Again, it makes me sad for Bella. I'm like, no, you're not getting a childhood.
Yeah. Edward sounds frustrated and asks how old she was. She responds with 17, and that Edward does not seem 17. When Edward's response was confused, she continued to say that her mom told her that she was born a 35-year-old and continues to grow to middle age each year. But he doesn't seem like he's a junior in high school either.
Gotcha.
I struggled through that part.
No, that one is hard without reading it in front of you, like the exact book.
Yeah.
I do remember that part being confusing.
Yeah. That part, I remember rereading that section in the book like 20 million times. Be like, did I understand that correctly? Yes, okay. Edward asks why her mother married Phil, and Bella is amazed that Edward remembered Phil's name as she only said it once a few months back, but responds that she believes that Phil makes her feel young. When Edward asks if Bella approves, she responds saying it doesn't matter. I want her to be happy, which isn't a yes. It's not a yes. I know it's not a no, but it's also not a yes. Edward says that way of thinking is generous and wonders if she would extend the same courtesy to her no matter who she chose. Bella thought so, but says it's probably a little different for the parents. Yeah, no.
Like, I get it, because with my parents, I've finally gotten to the spot where, like, if they do date other people, It's going to be weird, but I'm like, okay, it is what it is. I mean, obviously there's some other stuff with it. But I don't know. That took a lot of unique situation to get there, so I can't imagine a 17-year-old feeling the same way.
Yeah.
But I mean, the parents have been separated for most of her life.
Yeah, but also like for her mom to extend the same courtesy to Bella, like
I don't feel
yes
like,
and no.
yeah,
If I mean, if parents clearly catch on to red flags, like say something, obviously, but also you can't control them.
true. And be very tactful about how you say it too, because if you have a child that was anything like me,
You're going to dig your heels in even deeper.
yeah, yeah. It's only
Yeah.
into my late 20s that I realized how self-destructive that is. And I have since told both my parents, I'm like, all right, sit down. You're going to finally hear what you have wanted 10 plus years to hear. You were right. I was wrong. You saw it better than I did.
Yep.
Damn near killed me to say it. But I'm like, oh, I agree with my parents in the situation now. Damn it.
All right. So Bella asks about Edward's family, and we learn that the Cullens adopted him. His parents died years ago, and that he loves his adoptive parents and couldn't imagine two better people. When asked about his siblings, Edward reminds her he has to go back and pick them up from school that he left. He says that he won't be in school tomorrow because he and Emmett, his brother, are going to be hiking the Rote Rocks Wilderness. Is that how you say it? Rote, R-O-A-T? Rote?
I honestly do not remember.
Okay, we're just going to go with yes. Just before he takes off, he asks her to promise while she's at the beach she won't try to fall in the ocean or get run over by anything. She says she'll do what she can, and he backs out and drives off, still smiling.
Hmm.
And that's the end of chapter 5.
Chapter 5. I am so excited for you to get to meet Emmett. You're going to love him.
Okay.
I love
Green
Emmett.
flag?
Green, yes. I don't remember any red flags, but granted, was I the best at identifying red flags when I first read this as 13, whatever?
No.
No. But no, in The Midnight Sun, you get to hear more of him, and there's one particular scene which I am so excited for you to read, the scene that happens in Twilight, so I can give you that little portion of like, this is what Emmett's thinking. And that one moment solidified me as like, oh, I love him. And I read that book a couple years ago, so I'm like,
Okay.
yes, better at identifying red flags. So sweet. We like him.
Okay. Well, hopefully one more green flag to add to this book of red flags.
Yes. The green flags thus far have all been versions of himbos, of which Emmett is a total himbo. I love me my himbos. Yeah. Like the
Alright.
Freds from Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Final thoughts for chapter 5. We're getting there.
We are getting there.
We're definitely getting there.
If I'm not
Ooh.
mistaken, next chapter we meet Jacob.
I was gonna say, wasn't this, correct me if I'm wrong, but when Mike is inviting Bella, or no, sorry, when Bella and Edward are talking on the way out to the car about, or in the car, wherever it is, about Bella extending the offer to go to the beach, doesn't he ask what beach it is first? Because I'm pretty sure that's in that part where he says, oh, what beach? And she goes, oh, on the reservation, La Push. And he goes, oh, I don't think you and I should push Mike anymore.
That sounds familiar.
That's important to note, that he doesn't say no until she says it's on the reservation.
That comes in with chapter 6, Scary Stories.
Have you read chapter 6?
Yeah.
Oh,
which we're going to be recording shortly after this, but you guys will have to wait next week for that, so sorry.
Yeah.
But something to look forward to. Oh, that's
I'm really wanting to go back and reread my book now.
You should.
Although I gotta say, I am real impressed with myself for remembering a lot of this.
A
Like
lot of
for
it's coming back for you.
no kidding. But see, now where is that skill with a lot of the helpful things like school subjects?
It's not intriguing enough for us to remember.
Apparently not. Yeah, I didn't hyperfixate on it enough.
Claire de Lune, you were correct.
Good job, Connie. Oh God, please let me have these good memorization cells when I take a certain exam that decides if I can get into a career that I like, please.
Mhm.
Yeah. Joan, if you're up there, can you do me a solid? Help me out. Amen. Ugh.
I can't find it.
Okay, technically I think I should be praying to Thomas Aquinas because he's the saint for those. But Thomas Aquinas did not like women. You know, most of those old philosophers really did not like women.
You were correct.
I was.
Yep.
Oh.
So Edward asks, "Where are you all going exactly?" He was still looking ahead, expressionless. Down to La Push, to First Beach. I studied his face, trying to read it. His eyes seemed to narrow. What is that word? I don't even know if I can say it. Infinitesimally. Infinitely, basically, but infinitesimally.
I gotta see it.
80, page 85 at the top.
85 is infinitesimally.
Yeah. I can't even say that even after you saying that.
Infinitesimally. I gotta Google. That seems unnecessary. I'm sorry.
It is unnecessary. And I can say it in my head. It just wasn't coming out.
See, that is why there are so many words that I know them, but I cannot pronounce them because I learned them by reading.
Yep.
And so that's why I'm like, well, I don't know how to say this, but I know this word fits.
Yep.
Learn the meaning of anticipation.
That word.
Immeasurably or incalculably small, taking on values arbitrarily close but greater than zero.
That's not what I thought it was. I thought it was like infinitely.
Infinitesimally. Seem to narrow infinitesimally.
Okay, I guess.
There's gotta be. Oh, here it is.
Okay. This word is not necessary. Okay. Yeah. Luna agrees.
I got the speaker turned off on my computer because of the recording. I was like, why can't I hear it when I hit play?
Oh, I was like, it should be off. Is there an issue?
No. Okay, so he narrowed his eyes very narrowly. Extremely narrowed his eyes.
Can you just say he narrowed his eyes?
Infinitesimally. Infinitively.
I'm still not going to try to pronounce it anymore.
Now it's on principle. After we're done recording, I'm hitting play on that speaker button. Why are we
unnecessary, especially for a YA book?
No kidding. I'm all about bringing in some additional words, giving learning opportunities. Yes.
Uh-huh. I don't think that would ever come up in normal conversation.
The odds of it happening are almost infinitesimal.
No. It fits, but no. Oh gosh.
Okay. Oh, I had to. I'm sorry. Low hanging fruit.
All right.
I'm gonna have to use
on
this.
That note, Connie's going to use that for the rest of the day probably, but I think this is a good stopping point.
It is a good stopping point because now I'm getting into the history of the word.
Oh gosh. Okay. So we are going to end this here. Thanks for joining us. Make sure to follow us. Follow. Oh gosh.
Follow, like, subscribe.
Yeah. Make sure to follow us on all social medias. Make sure you like and leave us a comment below. Let us know what you thought of this chapter. What you think of that word that I can't pronounce.
What you think of small back touching or winking.
Yeah.
Like, we cannot be the only ones with this opinion here.
Yeah. please leave us a comment down below. Give us a thumbs up. Really helps us out. We are on YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, and kind of Instagram.
Handle for all is at Chaos Chronicles Podcast, and that's Chronicles with an S.
Yes. Until then,
Adios.
bye.